Are you trying to figure out which iPad to buy next? Are you confused by all the different iPad models these days? Me too. And Apple just announced an updated 8th generation iPad and the new iPad Air 4. And the new iPad Air 4 now looks just like an iPad Pro instead of an iPad. Keep watching to see how I sort them out. Hi, this is David of Tech for Bubba, a channel I share my experiences on how technology enhances my time with kids and family as a dad. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. In today's video, I'll share two main criteria I end up using to clarify for myself which iPad to get next. Hope it'll be helpful to you too. As we go along, I'll also highlight updates made to the iPad 8th generation and the new iPad Air Apple just announced in September 2020. As I learned the major differences between these iPads, the decision became somewhat straightforward. There are currently 4 lines of iPads. The most obvious difference, and the easiest for most of us to tell, is the screen size. iPad mini has a 7.9-inch screen, iPad has a 10.2-inch screen, and the new iPad Air 4 would have a 10.9-inch screen. iPad Pro comes in 2 screen sizes, 11 inches and 12.9 inches. So the first criteria, or the decision to make, is how big you want your iPad to be. If you need an iPad that is very portable, iPad mini is the one. It's bigger than the biggest iPhone. Here's my iPhone 11 Pro Max as a comparison, but still small enough to be quite portable. It's a great size if you use it as an ebook. I've also been using mine as a bigger screen to fly my drones. On the other hand, if you're looking for an iPad with a big screen, as big as a laptop so you can use it as a laptop replacement, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is the one to consider. Along with the new Magic Keyboard, iPad Pro can finally be a MacBook or laptop replacement for most. It's not cheaper, but it's actually more versatile than a laptop for many use cases. I've reviewed the Magic Keyboard and how it could make the iPad a laptop replacement. I'll link my video here and below in the descriptions. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro is also the best option if you're a digital artist who mainly use the iPad to draw on. If the smallest iPad and the biggest iPad isn't for you, it gets a bit more complicated with 3 choices: the 10.2-inch iPad, the 10.9-inch iPad Air, and the 11-inch iPad Pro. The next criteria or decision to make is how much you can or want to spend on an iPad. The basic iPad starts at $329 US. The new iPad Air 4 starts at $599, and the iPad Pro starts at $799. First, the iPad. Apple just introduced the 8th generation iPad last month. It's essentially the same as the previous iPad with a faster A12 Bionic chip. Not only is it faster, the A12 chip also brings the neural engine to the entry-level iPad for the first time. With the upgraded A12 chip, it now has even more power to run apps smoothly for many more years. This CPU is 40% faster with twice the graphic performance. This 8th gen iPad has a good Retina display, cameras, worked with the cheaper original Apple Pencil for note-taking and drawing. It can also take advantage of the latest iPad OS 14 improvements and many more to come. Pairing it with a smart keyboard or any Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, it can be a good laptop replacement for students. It's especially a great choice for younger ones who now also need a device for remote learning at home these days. To be honest, I think iPad 8 is good enough for most people. It has all the basics covered at a very reasonable price. I've already seen the price drop to about $300 at some places. I'll put some links below if you're interested. It'll probably drop even lower during the upcoming holiday season. Even though this is an entry-level iPad, it's already one of the best tablets or laptop replacements you can get at this price. So it should really be the starting point for consideration. By the way, the base model only comes with 32 gigabytes of memory, which can be limiting if you use a lot of apps or want to use the iPad to store a lot of pictures or videos. Paying for a larger iCloud storage could be a good option, or I consider going with the 128 gigabyte model if you have the budget. Now, if you can spend more, for $300 more than the iPad, there is a new 2020 iPad Air. For almost twice as much money, what additional features are we getting with the new iPad Air? There are quite a bit, so it's good. First, the new shape and colors. There are 5 colors. New pastel rose gold, green, and sky blue colors in addition to the traditional space gray and silver. The shape now looks just like the more expensive iPad Pro models, with the straight edges. The iPhone 12 about to be announced should also take on this new design language, or is this an old language? In any case, with the new shape, the latest iPad Air switched from the Lightning port over to an USB-C port for charging and more flexible connections, just like the iPad Pro. It's now compatible with Apple Pencil 2 and the Magic Keyboard. Apple Pencil 2 is much easier to charge and carry than the first Apple Pencil. It's just much more elegant. Even though the Magic Keyboard is expensive, it's a great looking and functional keyboard that can transform your iPad into a laptop. Again, if you're interested in my review of the Magic Keyboard, I put a link down below in the descriptions. The iPad Air screen is now 0.7 inches bigger than the iPad with thinner bezels. It's also a better, thinner laminated screen with P3 white color and True Tone display. It still has Touch ID and it's built into the power button for the first time. It has better cameras, faster Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0. Even though it also has two speakers just like the iPad, iPad Air speakers are now on the top and the bottom, so there is true stereo in the landscape mode. Last but certainly not the least, iPad Air 4 is the first device with the newest A14 Bionic chip. Even though it's not released yet, anytime now though. There were leaked benchmark screenshots just last week showing very impressive single-core performance compared to the A12Z in the latest 2020 iPad Pro. A14 scored 1583 compared to A12Z's 1118. The leak basically confirmed Apple's claim of 40% increase in single-core performance when compared with the previous iPad Air. The A14 multi-core performance with 6 cores, it has 2 high-power and 4 high-efficiency cores, is 4198. It's higher than A13 as expected, but still a bit lower than the A12X and Z chips in iPad Pros, which score 4564. Of course, these are pre-release benchmark numbers which still need to be confirmed when the iPad Air 4 is released. A14 is also supposed to have 30% faster GPU performance and 2x faster machine learning. In any case, the new iPad Air with the A14 Bionic chip will be powerful, even faster than the current iPad Pro at single-core tasks. Hence, if you use the iPad a lot and can spend $300 more, I think it's worth considering the new iPad Air over the iPad. The new iPad Air is much more powerful, has a bigger and better screen, faster and better connectivity with USB-C and the latest Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, better cameras, compatible with latest accessories such as the Apple Pencil 2 and Magic Keyboard. It's even a bit lighter and thinner than the 8th Gen iPad. It also comes in nice new colors if you prefer them. Something to note similar to the iPad is the base storage is on the low end with 64 gigabytes. In this day and age, I think 128 gigabyte is the sweet spot. It's intriguing how Apple doesn't offer a 128 gigabyte option for the iPad Air, so it's either 64 gigabytes or $150 more for the 256 gigabyte option. How about the even more expensive iPad Pro 11-inch? What do we get for $200 more? The big difference is the screen. Yeah, it's just 0.1 inch bigger and 100 nits brighter, but it has ProMotion technology, which makes scrolling and the games run much smoother since the display refreshes quicker at 120 Hz. That's 120 times per second instead of 60 Hz. It makes an even bigger difference for artists who use the iPad Pro to draw, since it reduces the latency between the Apple Pencil and the screen display. The other big difference is iPad Pro has more and larger memory options, starting from 128 gigabytes to a whopping 1 terabyte. iPad Pro also has more cameras and a flash. It adds the ultra-wide camera and the new LiDAR scanner for more precision when it comes to augmented reality apps, which isn't quite mainstream yet. It also has 4 speakers instead of 2. It uses Face ID instead of Touch ID, which can be a plus or minus depending on which one you prefer. And again, its A12Z processor is a bit old and worse at single-core tasks, but much better at multi-core tasks than the new iPad Air 4. These iPad Pro features are really targeting those who use an iPad heavily for drawing, content creation, and need a lot of local storage. Note that I think the logical next step for Apple is to update the iPad Pro with the A14 family chip that makes it even faster than the iPad Air 4 on all tasks, sooner rather than later. There are also predictions that the next iPad Pro will get the better mini LED screen. Therefore, if you're looking to spend extra for the iPad Pro, It may be worth waiting a few months for the next update if you can. Okay, to summarize, the two criteria I used were the size of the screen or iPad I need and how much I can or want to spend on my next iPad. Unless you need the smallest iPad mini or the largest iPad Pro 12.9 inch, I think the latest iPad 8th Gen is good enough for most people. If you can spend $300 more though, I suggest getting the new iPad Air. Lastly, I wait for the next iPad Pro if I can. Thanks for watching. If you find this video helpful, please smash the like button and share. Are you looking to get an iPad? What criteria are you using to decide? Let us know in the comment section below. If you want to see more video on how technology can enhance our life with kids and family, please subscribe and turn on the bell. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, cherish each moment.